Hey guys, you're listening to the Energy of the Untamed Heart podcast, where we talk about uncaging your divinely gifted wild heart to be as free and expansive as you were born to be. My goal is to use our stories, guest interviews, and your questions to tease out what has been keeping your wild heart under wraps. I'm your host, Mielle Fox, and together we will shatter the myths of our old stories to set our wild heart free. So thanks for choosing you and showing up today. My guest today is Delisa Abraham, co-founder of Faith and Sparkles. She is a previous veteran. Thank you for your service, as well as having a long career in corporate, and has now shifted her energies towards creating empowerment programs for school-age children to really help them cope and deal with the influx of the barrage of expectations, building their self-confidence, learning skill sets to help them navigate the challenges in their school world as well as the rest of their little growing up world. So without further ado, I bring you Delisa. Good morning.
Good morning to you all. I welcome you. It's going to be a fun time.
Tell us a little bit how you shifted from your corporate routine into your current endeavor.
Oh, exciting stories. It started when I became pregnant. I actually was excited for the work that I was doing in corporate. I loved my job. I love what I was doing. And when I became pregnant, that's when I started to do a lot of research. So one of my degrees is in researching as well as humanities, and wanted to prepare myself to understand, what does a successful kid look like? What does a peaceful kid look like? What are other cultures doing? What have they done in the past and present that really shows how they've impacted not only a generation, but generations over a course of years and years? And I looked at our system, the schooling system. My daughter can't go back until she could speak. Like, she's not going anywhere until she could speak. That's how it started. After that, it was really working with her and understanding her. When she was 2.5, she started going to school at a Montessori school. So that was really nice because she felt comfortable. She knew some of the work and she was making friends. She was engaging, even though she was in after school activities. Fast forward, now my mom has cancer, and Faith, my daughter, and our dog Sparkle, they were there supporting her and loving on her. And Faith felt like it was her duty to take care of her grandmother. She wanted to know what she was doing when she woke up, what she was doing when she went to bed. Did you eat all the right stuff? All of those things. And that is how that journey really kind of grown. And then the next thing you know, after my mom recovered, she identifies as a superhero doctor. So now she finds her purpose. You know, some kids, I want to be a dentist, I want to be an astronaut, whatever. She's like, I'm a superhero doctor. Now this is in the middle of the night. I am exhausted, want to sleep, but she was persistent as children are. I got up and I was listening, and then she wanted to write it down as homework. Okay, I waited like a few weeks, almost a month really. And then on my mother's kitchen table, this is when it happened. This is where we sat down and we were taking some notes, and I video record. I was so excited because I want you to see where your mind was at 3 years old. And like 7, 8 minutes into it, she's like, turn it off. She's like, turn it off. Yeah, because she at that time she's not used to being on camera. I wasn't recording her and taking pictures, posts. I wasn't doing any of those things. So she wanted it off, but it was great because she got to see, and we look at it. What is a superhero to her? What does that mean? How do they come about? What kind of clothes they wear? Who are their sidekicks? All of these things, because we weren't watching Marvel at that time. She didn't know about Spider-Man. She didn't know about all those other people. So that's how that happened. And then next thing you know, she's like, can it be a real book? And I was like, sure, why not? Right? Helping to grow the confidence. And the reason why I did that and went down that path, it wasn't that, yes, you can have everything you want. It is more so to say, wow, you have an idea. Wow, let's see where this takes us. Let's go on this journey together. Let's explore it. And whatever happens on the path happens. And with that, from it getting to be a real book, I got in contact with different publishing houses. They love the idea. They're like, this is fantastic. This is so needed. Got an editor, illustrator. The books are out. Now she wants to meet fans. I was thinking it would just be family and friends, and that's it. Like maybe 50 copies, 100 copies sold. Nope. Faith's idea was completely different, right?
She's a world
And
changer.
that is world, like, yeah, she just
She's a
had this
world
idea, and
changer.
that's it, world changer. Yeah. And so from that, we started going out. The book is in some bookstores, we sell online. Last year, when she turned 5, that's when the bomb drops. Yeah, so she was 3 when it was published, so about 2 years now. Mom, I need to go and speak to people. And I go, for what? No, I have to go and speak. I'm supposed to go and like be on a stage and speak. And I said, okay. So that got arranged. It was like an all organic, natural process because she was actually invited to speak. So everything that we're doing has started organically. And then we just go from there. First, reading and speech. She didn't have a problem. She waited until she could get to the car. And then she says to me, Mom, that's not what I saw. I saw a stage. There was not a stage. There wasn't a microphone. There wasn't lights. And where were the hundreds and hundreds of people? There wasn't hundreds and hundreds of people. Did you get, yeah. Did you get that part there?
I
Yes, yes, yes.
did.
So that is how we started on that journey. Now, fast forward to 2023, we're still going strong. So we had a mentorship program, a coaching program, and I actually work on that side. And we're working with some organizations. Some of them are nonprofit, some of them are for profit, and those were less organic connections that happened on my end, but it was not promoted from Faith and Sparkle's World. We just had like this page on the website. And when Faith began to get bullied when she went to school, even though she had the confidence and all of those things, she was prepared to stand up for herself. And of course, there's that reconnection as parents, right? Reboosting of her energy, reboosting of her confidence, her self-esteem, and remembering like who she is, because that's a continuous lifestyle journey that we are all on. That was such an important piece. But when it became more severe, that is when she's like, Mom, I need a break. And she's like, you know what? I need a break. And she didn't want to be in the school anymore. She didn't want to even go out to the different activities because that person was in some of the after school activities in the programs because we all live in a similar area, and she didn't want to participate in it anymore. That was like a whole other process of someone can be very confident in themselves and have high self-esteem and know who they are. But one thing like a negative experience can come in and just put like a hole, not really a hole, but like a dent in something. And so that is when, like, with that dent, now we're like, okay, let's knock that dent out and smooth it out and go deep into the thing. So it was making sure on my side as a parent to really practice confidence, but now on a different level with her, like finding out from her, how are you feeling? What's going on? You're thinking about this, you're crying about this. And so we went really deep, and then that's where the healing started and the release started. And she even had the point where she was like, okay, I forgive him. That was so powerful. And in that healing moment and period of time, and it took about 4 or 5 months, is she's back to like picking up the camera herself and saying messages to share with her audience. But during that time, she wanted her message to continue. She wanted the business to keep going. And so I came in the forefront and I started sharing about empowered leadership and talking about confidence and talking about boundaries and talking about the energy that we're giving and talking about how we can create the space in our home and in our classroom to grow holistic, cultivate holistic children who are confident in themselves and who are tapping into their purpose without feeling shame or dread or like, I don't know if this is correct or not.
Your story is so powerful. Your daughter's story is so powerful. And there's certain things that I hear come through that I think are such critical reminders for the adult in all of us who have perhaps
Yeah.
hidden and forgotten the child in all of us. What I hear you say with your story, Faith comes to you, and it's no mistake she's named Faith, by the way. Faith comes to you, and with a child's mind of authenticity, genuineness, lack of inhibitions about what is possible. She
Mhm.
says to you so clearly, Mama, this is what I see. This is my vision. And I think for
Yeah.
those of us as adults, many of us, myself included, had for some time a fear of expressing my vision. For fear of what? For fear of judgment, for fear of rejection, for fear of I won't be part of the group or whatever the thing is. And to hear your story and how refreshing that your daughter started this business at such a tender age. When I hear you tell us of the things that she tells you, she is an old, wise soul in a cute little girl body who's so clear in her description of this is not what I saw. I saw the stage, I saw
Mhm.
the people, I saw how phenomenal she is describing what we as adults call the quantum realm, the quantum possibility, the possibility that what we create and feel and see within ourselves is what becomes manifested in our real world. She basically, literally described that to you. It just gives me goosebumps. I'm like, wow, that's very powerful. So powerful.
It's I am so glad you brought that up about the quantum realm, because there are some people that talk about it. They don't go as deep as they need to, because some of them are just scratching the surface, as we all are. I see on such an authentic level, and this is one of the things you mentioned about with children. They're just coming authentic and real. There's no limitation for them. It's just, this is what I saw. This is what needs to happen. And exactly that. When she was clear to me about how many people she saw, hundreds of people, and within a few months, even, she did a couple of things. Now she's speaking at educational conferences with children and their parents and
Yes.
educators, 300 people sharing how they can shift the environment. She's not using, this is my word, shifting environment, but really through her message of kindness and compassion, we can make friends. Through kindness and compassion, we can be confident. We could be ourselves. We could use our own voice. It's so beautiful. But for us to get to that quantum space, as I mentioned, I had to do work prior to when she was in my tummy and make the decision and figuring out what type of child are you going to be, and having that connection. What type of child are you going to be? And at the same time, being open to recognize what I am hearing could be wrong, because it could be my own thoughts and not really what she's sharing with me energetically while she was
Yeah.
in the womb. And so I had to cultivate the space when I was pregnant, after she was born. Every single thing in the home was vibrating at a high frequency, so that at 2.5 years old, it was not a mistake or like, or,
No
oh, well,
coincidences, girlfriend.
coincidences. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. There was no coincidence
Right?
that like she was ready to go out there and say, okay, I'm ready to be in the school. Let me see what they have. Let me see what they can do here.
So I just love this conversation. It's just so rich with all the things. When you say
Yeah.
I cultivated this environment in the womb, I cultivated this environment in my home, I cultivated this intention within myself. There are so many levels of what you express that I just want to touch on, that I want to bring up as a reminder to our listeners, because sometimes we get so tunnel visioned into believing that what we currently see is all there is, and that's it. And the
Mhm.
reality is, it's kind of old Newtonian idea. The reality is, in the realm of possibilities, infinite possibilities, and the whole quantum is, anything is possible, and we all know this. But what you said is so critical, is I cultivated the environment. It's a little bit, to me, like you want to have the most beautiful tomatoes or the most beautiful peony flowers in your garden. You
Yep.
cultivate the garden, you prepare the soil, you plant the seed just right, you make sure the sunlight is appropriate location
Mhm.
in your garden, you water, you fertilize, you do all the things, and then you still nurture and cultivate as the plant is coming through the earth and growing and then blossoming. And this is exactly when you describe what Faith is expressing for herself. It's beautiful because it's really starts with the idea, and then the
Mhm.
cultivation of the idea, and your phrase about everything needed to be in the correct frequency, because that is so true. If we are really tuned into our vibrational expression and be open to receive, it's like zoning in on the correct bandwidth on the dial. There's lots of places, but if you're not zoned in on the correct bandwidth, you're not going to hear what you should hear or receive what you should receive and exchange that, because you're in the static zone. So Faith has gotten out of the static zone. She dialed in. And I think this is such a beautiful story. And literally her expression to you of, and I saw a stage with a microphone and hundreds of people. She saw her vision and she took inspired action with your help, of course, because, it's hard to make all those calls when you're 5 years old. But
No.
she absolutely took the inspired action to make that her reality. And this is such an important reminder. There was no coincidences, and no coincidence that I opted to lead my podcast name with Energy of the Untamed Heart, because I think we are all brought here with the capacity for the open, untamed, wild heart that wants to express, that wants to expand, that wants to do all the things, that is ready to burst forth with no limitations. And I think our journey can put the dent in that. The bullying episode that now needed to be worked through, I think those challenges don't take away, do we have a skill set that allows us to manifest our vision? They're sort of the little speed bumps. I like to think of them as the challenges, like, are you for real? Are you really going to do the thing? Did you really mean that? That's how I see the challenges come through. And Faith is kicking it up to the next notch and up leveling to say, here's my message. I'm getting my message out. And I'm showing you this little speed bump isn't the end of the road. It's just a little bump. So tell us a little bit more. It's so interesting that you said she's got the affirmations and the confidence and she's got that skill set, but yet her way of trying to stay small and hide by saying, well, mommy, I don't really want to be recording, or I don't want to be on film. The work that it took to move through that, so that she may have had a little bit of an obstacle in the pathway, but her vision is so pure. It's so true and clear that she's found the way through. She's clearly a shining light source here to up-level us, up-level the consciousness of collective, starting with the little seeds, the little children who will ultimately be taking over when you and I aren't available. Yeah.
That's right. And they're going to be teaching all the generations after us. And it's exactly true. Those speed bumps that happen, these situations that occur, that is some people like to say it's a test or a challenge, and really it's just, are you going to stay the course and really walk through it? Because this journey is not going to be an easy journey. And that is the reality for every journey. It doesn't matter if you're young or you're older. A huge part, and one of the things that I teach with empowered leadership, is always starting and laying the foundation of the space that you create. So Faith is going through what she's going through. It doesn't matter what you are going through at this moment. What space are you in right now? Yes, it's the mental space. It is your physical environment. It is the words that are on record, that's on your heart or in your mind or in your spirit. Are you spirit-led? And so that part of it, that space, you need to bring up the energy, the vibration, the frequency in your home. And to do that, one of the ways, because we can't all be walking around talking affirmations all day. We have work, we have life, we have families, we have grandchildren, we want to take vacations, whatever it is. A simple and easy way is to turn on some either positive messages or just the music, some frequency music that will just have it on. And it's free on YouTube. You don't even have to pay for an app, right? They have these things, and this is such an excellent way to start. And I'm going to tell you and your audience, that's where I start. What type of vibration do I want? What intention? You set the intention. It's kind of like setting the New Year's resolution, but you don't have to start January 1st. You could start today, right now, this moment. I'm going to decide that I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to, oh, you know what? There's a situation at work. Well, you know what? I'm going to overcome this, not in my own will and in my own strength. Yes, that's part of it, but I'm just going to shift my thinking. I'm going to shift my environment, because when you shift it and you raise that frequency and you raise the vibration and you get on that quantum level, and all of a sudden, everything else that comes in your sphere of influence starts to transform. And if they don't transform, they will get the heck out. And that's
Oh,
just a
so
fact.
true. It is a dead certain fact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for any of the listeners who are like, how can this be? I'll give you the little bit of sciencey, geeky part of this, because that is kind of my jam. I like the science. The bottom line is everything is energy. Yes, we know this. Everything is energy. Every cell in your body is energy. Everything around you is energy. And when we actually look at the components of small cellular units, people think it's all hogged up with this big thing called a nucleus and atoms and electrons and the whole deal. The reality is it's actually 99.99999% energy, empty, no thing, no one thing. The rest of it is one little tiny piece of atom particle. What does that really mean? It means that it's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. What does that mean? It means that your possibilities of any given particulate, real solid thing can happen anytime, anywhere. And it only happens when you decide to put your energy towards it. And when that vibrational energetic exchange is in alignment, the two pieces attract to one another. And that's how things come into play. So we all talk about, oh, the law of attraction. If you think it, it will be. Oh, no, not so simple, eh? So it does happen, but it doesn't happen like a light switch. It is all about creating, as you said, cultivating the correct environment so that your energetic environment is in line with the intention that you set forth. And I think a lot of times we take that very face value, like, oh, if I put in a little cartoon blip, like, I want an ice cream sundae, that thing's going to show up on my doorstep. Not quite that simple. But if my intention is ice cream sundae and I take the inspired action to believe the world's best vanilla strawberry banana split combo is over here and looks like this, and I can see that in my mind, I can bring myself into that environment because I can bring that into my zone of energy. It will ultimately, maybe not on your time frame, but it will show up. It sure will.
You said it so well. I will give two very brief examples of that.
Yeah.
When I was looking last year, thinking, how can this business grow? How can it scale? Because it's still a business at the end of the day. Faith has school, she has her work, she still needs to be a child. So I was figuring out that balance. And this is for anyone that, you know, even if you have your own business, you could apply this for yourself as well. We need to do this, we need to do that, all of those things. And so the minute I started to put my attention on the things that we needed to do and achieve, boom, it would come. Some things would take a month. Yeah, some things would take a couple of days or a week or whatever. Some things might take 2 months, but it happened, it transpired. And that allowed me to have the clarity. Maybe you might say, I want this ice cream sundae. Initially, you might get the ice cream sundae, maybe right away, maybe in a week, maybe in a month, however long it takes, depending on your vibration and your frequency. But if you're not clear about the specific outcome and you don't have that vision, you may not get the complete ice cream sundae. It is, yes, there's a law of attraction and all of those things. And yes, it is true. But then there's also a process to it. And for me personally, as a business person, a businesswoman, I was looking at, okay, how can we get investors into a business that is a service business? investors tend to invest in tech companies. That's just how it is. So, and I was thinking, okay, how are we going to get a mentor? Because I needed a mentor. I needed someone that was ready to invest. I needed somebody that has done this. And then all of a sudden I started thinking that an investor showed up in our feed, and I follow them, they follow us. I comment, I do all the things, I get the tips, I respond, to the point where this is our mentor. True story. This is our mentor. And this all happened within the last 5 months after they took a break and I was really focusing on expanding the business and doing this part. All of a sudden, then he opened up a free group membership, like a group mentorship program for people. And the minute it came out, I was like, yep, I'm in. I signed up for it because I wanted to be in that group, because I knew that I needed, what is that missing factor that we were missing in the business? I know the type of business that we have. She writes children's books. She does speaking and workshops. I'm the empowerment leadership coach. I also host my own workshops. There's that, but there is something that is missing, right? And financially, it's still a business. As much as we all use our hearts and everything, but it's still a business. Just really focusing on doing all the things that I needed to do, but saying, okay, I'm going to be part of this group. You are going to be my mentor. I mean, there was other parts to it too, but just having that intention in my heart, in my spirit, it magnetized this individual to us. His team, of course, he's not on there because he has all these other businesses and media companies and all these things. But he always states in his stuff, he's like, I am looking for businesses that are heart-centered. It's like, you don't have to be the best, but you have to be willing to learn. It doesn't matter how good you are, how much money you're making or not making, that is irrelevant. And so all of those things started to align. So when I get into this meeting, they said, do you have any questions that you want to ask him? So I asked my question. His team knew Faith and Sparkle's World, and they knew my name. Not only did they know it, by the time I had problems logging into the Zoom call, the virtual meeting. It took 3 times. I was sending them all these messages, and for whatever reason, it wasn't working. And finally I get in, and the minute I got in, they were ready to have my question presented to him. And I want to share what transpired with all of these things was that he was so intrigued, like, with our story, with the message, because my question was, why is it that service-based industries, it's more challenging for them to get investors than it is for a tech-based? And he answered it as clearly as he could. I had a follow-up question. He even answered it as very clear. And at the end, when I finished, he said, I want to know more about you and your daughter's business, because what you are doing is going to change the world. And for me, that was a huge win.
Absolutely.
A huge win.
Yes. The truth is, Faith and Sparkles is changing, not going to change, is now in this moment changing the world. And it's so funny when you're talking, I just have a phrase that came through. It's actually from a podcast that I listened to with Kathy Heller, who interviewed an author, Mignon Francois, who created this very large cupcake company, literally from $5 from nothing. And it's her story. Anyhow, the long and the short of that is she said something in this podcast that really stuck with me. And it was basically, the most important moment that we have is the one that we own, OWN, which is now, NOW. And that is how everything is one, WON. I heard that and I'm like, oh my goodness. And you're so right, because what that phrase says to me is, when you stay present in the moment, when you align yourself to be clear through energetically in the moment, you are present. That is the moment right now that you can own, have, I don't want to say control over, but that's what it is, the very moment. You can't do a thing about the past, and you can't necessarily know what will come to the future. So now, right now is what we have. When that becomes clear, that is when the beauty of the quantum and the manifesting and all the things present. And that is exactly what I hear coming through with your story. Oh, I love this talk. Your presence in the world, Faith's presence in the world. We need this. Kids need this. Moms need this. Educators need this. It is just so important. I'm just so excited for you to share where people can find you, any best way for folks to reach out, how they can take your message and your story, Faith's message and story, and incorporate it into their own lives. If they want to reach out to get something
Yeah.
in their community, leadership or education for
Mhm.
kids, how do we reach you?
You can reach me at faithandsparklesworld.com. You can go on the website. We have Faith's children's empowerment book. These books, not only have they won awards, not only she's won awards for them, but they just speak to her message of kindness and compassion. But more importantly than all of that, children around the world, in North America and around the world, they are loving her story because it surpasses cultures, it surpasses race, it surpasses all of it, and it goes straight to the heart of through kindness and compassion. We're superheroes. When you go online, I just wanted to share that part with you, and you can find me on there and send me a message as well. We have an upcoming workshop. It's posted on LinkedIn. It's also going to be posted on our other channels, on our Faith and Sparkles World channel, called The Power of Cultivating Confidence. The spots are filling up. I'm getting doctors of education and psychologists. I'm surprised the type of people that are actually signing up to come to this webinar, and it's a free webinar. They can check on our LinkedIn because every month we're going to be putting out a free webinar for people to come to. It's really helping you lay the foundation and build a structure of your house. I put it in air quotes there, the house, so that you can cultivate the space, cultivate the confidence, create the boundaries, do all the things so that you are living in a balanced way, that you are spirit led. You are spirit led. And then you're operating from that quantum field, because when you're operating from that field, it transforms your life, your thinking, your living situation, your everything. And I
Absolutely.
also do coaching. So, yes.
I think is spirit led to me is the energy of the heart. It is walking home to yourself. It is the true, genuine expression of how we are meant to be on this earth. Oh my gosh, your story is so spectacular. And I love the name of the organization, Faith and Sparkles. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It is so expressive and wonderful, and you are such a breath of fresh air to speak with. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us. I just thank you, Delisa, so much. It's been such a treat today.
Thank you, everybody. And I thank you for listening. Share this podcast with someone that needs to hear it, that needs to grow and expand and just to be spirit led, because that is so important. That's the whole purpose of us as a humanity, to be able to move forward.
That was just so much fun. What a joy. What an absolute joy to spend time with Delisa. You can find more information about the books, the programs, and the webinars by reaching out to Delisa at faithandsparklesworld.com, as well as LinkedIn at the same name. Let's help our children and parents be the best versions of themselves. Your feedback would be so appreciated. This way I can be bringing you more of what you want to hear on the podcast. I would be so appreciative if you'd be so kind as to leave a review on whichever listening platform you prefer. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you want more information on the other opportunities that I share and bring to people, you can find me on Facebook at Fox Den Energetics. Also the website by the same name, foxdenenergetics.com. Join me each week as we continue to explore the energy of the untamed heart. So much love to you all.